Good afternoon and welcome back to this installment of the Northwest Chamber of Commerce Member Interview Series. Joining us today is valued chamber member Frank Gorecki of FG Home Inspections. Frank is the owner there, and looking forward to having Frank speak at an upcoming home buyers panel. Frank, welcome today.
Thank you so much for having me, Emily. I'm excited to share some information with you guys, not only today, but at the panel that's coming up shortly.
We're excited. It's a nice way for members to get to know Frank a little more personally and professionally. We've seen him out and about the last couple months supporting chamber events at our golf outing and at our family night out at Mitchell's. So it's nice to see Frank out in the work world as well. And we're excited for you guys to be getting to know a little bit more about him today. So jumping right into it, our first and big question, Frank, is what originally got you into the world of home inspections?
Well, I actually got into the world of home inspections from the plumbing side of things. I started with a successful local plumbing company as an apprentice out in the field. I was the guy hauling the old toilets out while they were bringing the new toilet in. And I worked my way up gradually. I eventually transitioned into a more of an office position. I was a project manager overseeing renovations and remodels. And once I started working in the office more, I started seeing more requests for repairs, for real estate transactions and home inspection reports attached to those things. And that really just got me intrigued. And then fast forward a few years later, I got my license and dipped my toe in part-time for a short time, about 18 months, to make sure I was ready to do it. And well, here I am now. So
that's great. It's a great start and a good way to see how things evolved, because I'm sure you touch on a lot of those different categories today, and that's a great start. And what is it that you love most about your field of work?
there are so many great things about being a home inspector. On the surface, you have a new office every day. It never gets boring. One day I'm in a 14th floor condo. The next day I'm in a crawl space under a home in Essex. It's always a new adventure every day. But I'd have to say that what I love most about being a home inspector is helping people learn about that enormous investment that is their home, especially first-time home buyers. A lot of times they might not be familiar with the systems or the maintenance required for keeping their equipment in great shape. So I'm happy to share that information during the inspection. And of course, all of my clients are welcome to call me as long as they are in that home to ask any questions about any of the systems in their home. But I'd have to say that's the most rewarding thing, is knowing that I'm helping people learn about this value investment.
And I'm sure that value is being reciprocated. I mean, after being first-time home buyers, everyone always has those questions and just wanting to make sure everything is right. And great to have, a nice resource like you to ask those questions.
Yeah.
Now, has there been a favorite moment of your career so far?
At first, I wrote down a couple of things, and the first thing was the day I got my license, and then the day I got my first paid inspection. But I really think that my favorite moment is every time I get a new good review on Google or Facebook. And it's not for the business or for the notoriety or anything. It's because I know that I helped that person. I know them, and that I helped them enough for them to take time out of their busy day and say those kind words. So that's one of those instances where I can see that I am bringing some value to the table, and that's very rewarding.
That's great. I mean, for people to go through and put in a nice review like that, and hopefully, it causes someone else to want to work with you next. I mean, that's a good feeling to have.
Exactly.
That's good.
Very rewarding. Very much appreciated. Small businesses, like many in the chamber, live and die by reviews. And
Yes.
So I'm a small business. I'm a one-man show. And so anytime a small business gets a positive review, it just doesn't make your day. It makes your week. It really does.
Yeah, it does. And remember, valuable, Reviews are always a good thing. So if anyone watching, make sure you support your small businesses that way. Now, I guess you've seen it all. I mean, in home inspecting, I can't even imagine you have literally seen it all. Are there any funny, or even if not funny, but interesting moments of your career that you've experienced?
I'd have to say a lot of the interesting moments turn into funny moments a little bit later down the road. They're not so funny in the moment, especially if they involve, a really tiny crawl space or, rodents. Um, I had a close encounter with a bat once. It wasn't very funny in the moment, but now, years later, it's a lot funnier now than it was in the moment. I'll say that much. So yeah, I'd have to say most of the funny and interesting moments revolve around some of the dirtier aspects of the job. When it comes to getting in a crawl space or climb up in the attic to get that itchy insulation. But the most interesting and rewarding part of the home inspection is whenever I can safely get up on top of the roof. I like to take a picture from up top from the rooftop. Not that it always goes in the report, but it's always a really good view. You can see down the street, and it's nice to just be high up, as long as you can do it safely, of course. So yeah, lots of great experiences and new experiences around every corner because you never know what to expect.
I'm sure. And like you said, a different location every day and a total different experience or job every day, which is nice. Okay, now getting a little more into you. I mean, is there a word or a phrase that Frank Gorecki prefers to live or work by?
So my business has a tagline of excellence, value, trust. And that first word, excellence, is probably my favorite word. If you are going to do anything, it's worth doing as excellently as you can, whether it's wiping off a table or performing a home inspection, whether it's driving a nail or putting on an entire roof on. You have to value the experience enough to do it as excellently as possible. And I had a college professor, a college music professor, who told me a story once about being in a teachers conference. And he was asked, "So what do you teach?" And he said, "I teach excellence. I just do it through music." And that always kind of stuck with me. So that excellence, if you're going to do it excellently. That's kind of what I live by.
That's brilliant. And no matter what field you're going into, it's applicable to everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great one. I haven't had that one yet.
Yeah, it's too short. Life's too short to just, do things halfway.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right, so got the word in. That's a great word. I will start living by that now as well. I love that. Are there any sounds or noises that you prefer to either work to or relax to after you're done working?
So a lot of times I like to listen to driving music in the morning, stuff that's kind of fast and kind of gets me woken up. It doesn't have to be loud. It's not like heavy metal, but it could be anything from some fast bebop jazz to some technical funk. Anything to just kind of get the blood pumping. But after an inspection, I actually like to drive home in silence.
Okay.
I like to kind of just reflect on, what I was just looking at and kind of get ready to write the report.
Mm-hmm.
And then if there was a favorite sound, I would have to say that when someone is just uncontrollably laughing, when they just lost it, and not the polite dinner conversation, not that, but when someone's just when they're on the verge of wetting themselves, and sometimes they're not even making that much sound, and they're just losing it. That's my favorite sound, when someone just really starts cracking up. it gets me laughing. I don't even need to know what they think is funny. Just that sight. So that's
Even
probably
without context, it's contagious.
absolutely.
I love that. I agree. I agree. So our last two questions are always the most fun and interesting to see what answers our members come up with. But what profession, other than your own, would you like to attempt, or would you have liked to attempt at some point in your life?
Well, it's funny that you say that because I lead a bit of a double life. Um, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on Saturdays, I am a home inspector, but on many nights, weekends, and holidays, I am a professional freelance trumpet player. I've played with many different groups in the area, from various wedding bands and groups, community groups that might need a ringer for their section, all the way up to just 2 weekends ago, I was playing with the Baltimore Symphony. I'm very privileged and very appreciative of the opportunities that I have in music, because it really gets, you get to see a completely different side of people when you're in the wedding band, and you get to see everyone dancing, and you get to start that song that maybe you've played a million times, but when they hear it, oh, I haven't heard so and so song in years, and they go nuts. It's a really fun experience, whether it's that experience in the wedding band, or it's when the star soloist comes out, with the Baltimore Symphony and everyone applauds. It's that same just amazing feeling. I can't even describe it, but every musician that's listening knows exactly what I'm talking about.
I love that. That is a little known fact I didn't know. I know Kathleen was speaking about it at some point, and I mean, that's great. It's so cool. I hope, that's something you enjoy both as a hobby and as a side profession, and your family gets to see you do it. And that's so cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I have a very supportive family. They come out to a lot of my concerts and events and stuff. But there's a lot of them because they have to have lives of their own. So sometimes, I have 14 Friday nights in a row where I have gigs, and I can't expect people to come out to all of them, but people come out to the big ones, and I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, well, we will add us to your list. We would love to come out and support. I'm sure that would be a great night out.
Sure, yeah. On Facebook, I'm always sharing that info, where I'm going to be, and checking in at different places. So, and especially with some of the groups I play with, a group I play with called Mood Swings, we play at Bordy Vineyards every a couple of times every summer. This past year, because of COVID, things were shut down, but we're looking forward to an exciting summer in 2022. And that's always a good event. Sells out. That's just off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, we will have to come support you guys and Bordy. They were at our farmers market this year, so it's like a double support night, but that sounds great.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, that was I loved that. I wasn't expecting that, Frank. And then for our final and probably our most important question that we like to end on a good note with, you have a successful business, you clearly have a passion for what you do. What is the one business lesson that you wish you would have known prior to starting your own career?
So I would have to say that, and I have to be careful in how I phrase it. And the note that I have written here is that not everyone is as pumped up as you are. And I mean that in the sense that when it was time for me to choose my logo, I drove my wife absolutely nuts. I drove my two sons absolutely nuts. I drove my mother nuts. I drove my brother and sister nuts. And in the end, it was mine to choose. I had to be the one to pull the trigger, and so you have to get with a like-minded group of business people to really bounce those types of ideas off of, because as much as I love my siblings, I don't care that much about what they're doing in their career as long as they're happy and successful. And I'm sure my siblings don't care so much about whether the logo looks this way or that way. And so I early on, I was asking everybody about everything. And so now I've kind of learned how to filter those things. I ask, I ask certain artistic people about artistic decisions. I ask more nuts and bolts people about financial decisions. Uh, and I'm learning how to navigate that every day. Um, and so finding the right groups to network with and to ideas off of are great. Mastermind groups are fantastic. Um, and I'm in a couple of fantastic networking groups full of great people. And that's actually what brought me into the chamber, is one of the networking groups that I'm in. And I got to meet you and some of the other fine people at the chamber. So that's a great way to develop the the business aspect of the business. Um, I'm not asking anybody for help about how to inspect a roof, or is this vent line correct? Because I shouldn't expect them to know those answers. Just like I shouldn't expect them to know about the logo design.
Right.
So uh, I've really been able to filter those types of questions and concerns to the right people. I think that's probably the best way to put that.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, as you build your business and you build your career, you start to find your trusted people in the resources that you sometimes need or a little bit out of your realm. And like you said, tailoring to who you're asking what, because you value your opinion on what they know.
Absolutely.
That's a great answer. Well, I'm sure a lot of people are navigating that, and I love I love the way you open that with, you know, just trying to get your logo right and you're asking for the help, but at the end of the day, it's your decision and you just want that influence.
Yeah, and should I need to modify my logo in the future? I'm not going to drive my wife nuts. I'm going to talk to my artistic team and ask them the questions that my wife shouldn't have to know the answers to.
Well, thank you, Frank. This was a great interview. A lot of fun answers to all of our questions. We appreciate you as a chamber member. Always love seeing you out and about. And of course, if you want to learn a little more about Frank, or you're in the market for buying a new home, contact him for FG home inspections or attend the chamber's upcoming home buyers panel in January. But thank you, Frank, so much. We appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you so much for the interview, Emily. And anybody who's watching this, feel free to reach out to FG Home Inspections. I'm on Facebook and the internet. I'm easy to find. So I'm happy to be a resource to anybody who's interested.
Well, thank you. And we will see you guys back here next time. Thanks so much.
Take care. Bye now.